everyone, and welcome to Stan the Wine Man TV. I am your host, Stan Rattan, and this is the Blue Collar Wine Show, where I try to help you spend your wine dollars wisely. And once again, I'm in a new spot. A friend of mine let me use the house to film this video. I opened these wines yesterday. I planned on doing one in the garage. Well, you know, I didn't get to it. Things came up, and so these have been open one day. Cork in them, of course, and now I just opened them about a half hour ago, so they should have some good breathing, even though, you know, not necessarily. For those of you who wonder about that, you know, really wines don't breathe that much when they're full bottles and you take the cork. Look at, there's hardly any space for the air to get to it. So really, they should be in great shape. I'm looking forward to trying them. And you know, I didn't get to do a whole lot of videos during Washington Wine Month. I think it was kind of one of those deals where, you know, I just was consumed with so many things I didn't get a chance to do what I really wanted to do, and that's review a bunch of Washington wines. So I thought I'd do a few here in April. And one of the wines, and I've talked about this many times, one of the wines that really stands out in Washington State is Merlot. And we all talked about the bum rap Merlot got because of the movie, because too many places in the Central Coast were making mediocre Merlot, Central Coast of California. And so Merlot kind of got a bum rap. And a lot of people just don't like it or developed an opinion about it. And, you know, it's too bad because Merlot is really, really a great varietal. In fact, we've talked about this many times, and just a little reminder, the right bank of Bordeaux produces some of the best wines in the world. Cheval Blanc, Petrus, very excellent, well-respected wines, and they are predominantly Merlot. So, enough said about that. Obviously, people are influenced by Hollywood, and to be fair, there were a lot of very poorly made Merlot coming out of the Central Coast of California, and there still are some mediocre wines coming out of there, but you know, some people backpedal a little bit, not producing as much Merlot because of the popularity dropping. But when you talk about Washington State, you have to mention Merlot. Probably one of the best places in the world to produce this varietal. And we're going to look at three Merlot from the state of Washington from $12 to $40, and we'll see how they do. I picked this first one because Northwest Wine Report, Andy Perdue and his cohorts gave this one a very high rating in their blog, in their on their website. And so I thought it'd be appropriate to try this. And this is from a very well-known producer, Columbia Crest, out of Washington State, part of the St. Michel, under the St. Michel umbrella is what I was trying to say. And this is the winemaker Juan Munoz. I knew I was going to butcher the name. I wrote it down. Juan Munoz Oca has become quite a popular winemaker, and he's getting a lot of press. So it's not surprising that some of these wines are drinking very well. So let's get a little close up of this wine. This is $12. This is the 2013 Columbia Crest Grand Estates Merlot, Columbia Valley. Columbia Crest has a couple of stages. I just want to show you the label real quick. There you go. All right. I can remember when Grand Estates, Columbia Crest Grand Estates Chardonnay was everybody loved that wine. It's not so big now, but in the early stages of Washington State wine, it was the wine. It got a lot of press. A lot of people liked it. It had that big, buttery, bold Chardonnay flavor profile. And man, I could not keep that stuff on the shelf. So let's see what we get in the nose with this 2013 Columbia Crest Grand Estates Merlot. So a lot of cherry fruit, a little bit of currant, and I'm getting a little bit of chocolate on this. Very perfumed, which, you know, it's kind of cool. I mean, meaning, and I've explained this before, when you say perfumed, we all know that perfume accentuates aromas. And so this is very accentuated. It's very big on the nose. So I get that chocolate, currant, cherry, just a hint of tobacco. Let's see what we get on the palate. You like the spit bucket? Had to improvise a little bit. Same with the glass, a little bit different than I normally use, but they all work. This one has pretty good structure. I mean, you're talking, what did I say, 12 bucks? You know, good, the currants and the chocolate notes come through. It's kind of cool. And I'm looking straight out and there's a deer walking through the yard. It's kind of really cool here. Very cool spot. You know, just really good currant chocolate, a little bit of vanilla coming through. And what I really like is the spiciness on the finish. I like it when, I don't know about you, but I really like spicy on my wines. And it's not over the top. It's just kind of a nice, a little bit of baking spice, a little bit of black pepper. Even get a little blueberry on the back end, which I really like. I really like that blueberry effect. Now, the interesting thing about this wine is the tannins are a little bit chalky. So they're not like polished tannins. It's not like it's like driving. It's more like, not like driving, let's say, a Lincoln Continental, but more like driving. I'm probably dating myself there. I still make them. You know what I mean? A little bit attitude on the tannins, which I like. Makes it a better food wine. Absolutely. If you're grilling up a steak, if you're doing some stew, if you're doing some roasted chicken, this would be good with that. It also has very good acid, good acidity, which is a very key element in any wine. You can drink this by itself for sure. You can sit down and enjoy this, whip up some popcorn with some blue cheese or gorgonzola in it, and you can have a great time with this wine. We'd go good with pizza. But just let me tell you, this is a great wine with food. I mean, you know, with a meal. That acid, the blueberry, the currants, the chocolate, all combined, good balance, and then those kind of chalky, a little bit gritty tannins make it a very interesting wine. I'm going to go B+, A- on that. I think that's a good example of the type of Merlot that you get out of Washington State. It's 12 bucks. I would seek this out. 13 was a decent vintage, not as good as 12 and 14, but a lot of, you know, mixed reviews on 13 from different winemakers. But definitely this is a good quality Merlot for around 12 bucks. I think you can get a little less some places. You know, B+, A-, not bad. Now, let's go to a winery from Spokane, Washington, not Spokane, Spokane. Latah Creek, 2012 Merlot. I believe that's Frias Vineyards, Walloot Slope. This rolls in at $15. And this is winemaker Mike Conway and his daughter Natalie are now getting involved in this winery, and his wife Elena. And they've had it since 1982, which is kind of cool. Established in 82, and that's when my first child was born. So that year kind of has special meaning to me, 82. It was also the first year that the vintage that put Parker on the map with Bordeaux. He declared it a great vintage, one of the few critics to do that. And he ended up being right, and his reputation just skyrocketed from there. So they established in 82, very well-known Washington winery. It's been around a long time. One of the few wineries that can boast going that far back to the early 80s. So let's see what we get on the nose. Excited to try this. They've actually gotten some good press for their Merlot over the years. I think at one point the Wine Spectator called them, declared them Winery of the Year. So they've gotten some really good press from different critics and periodicals. This one has, now this is interesting. It's very interesting. This has a little pyrazine or greenness to it. I get a little bit of that asparagus kind of broccoli thing going on. And behind that I get currants and cherries. Even a little, like, just a hint of menthol. I hope this echoes, you know, this place has really high ceilings, so I hope the sound comes out good. I've been struggling, I'm not sure if it's my camera, you know, I'm just trying to figure it out. Every once in a while I get this like interference on my sound, and I'm not sure exactly why. I have a microphone, I use that. Hopefully this one comes through clear. It's happened on the last couple, which is really frustrating. I have to try to figure that one out. Yeah, that greenness is kind of blowing off, but initially I got a big hit of it. Now let's see what we get on the palate. Wow. Wow. I'm very impressed with this. I mean, I'm very impressed with this Merlot. These tannins are more on the polished side. It has almost like this stainless steel element coming through on the mid palate, on the tongue, going into the finish. A lot of pepper on the back side of this one, but just a deeper, richer fruit element coming through. I get blackberries and currants and cherries. And one of the cool things on this wine is that kind of tobacco-y finish, and a hint of chocolate on this one also. Not as prominent as the Columbia Crest Grand Estates, but it is definitely there. What I really like is that this has a lot of layers going on. I mean, you get that intensity of fruit, you get that kind of stainless steel, almost like stainless steel ball bearings on the tongue. Good acid, good structure, very balanced front to back. And kind of mouth-watering on the finish, which is kind of cool. And then it finishes with that tobacco. And the pyrazine is coming through, the asparagus, a little bit of branchiness, a little bit of blackberry leaves coming through, kind of, but barely. Barely. In fact, some of you might not even notice, which is really cool. But, you know, geeks like us, we're looking for that little extra, you know, notch in the flavor profile. And it hits all of those. If I'm going to go B-A on the Columbia Crest, I'm definitely going to go A-A on this one. Very good Merlot. Very well made. $15. It's ridiculous for the quality of that wine. Just saying. Let's move on. Now we're going to Red Mountain, one of my favorite appellations in the state of Washington. I like it better than Walla Walla. You know, you're not supposed to say that. I love Walla Walla fruit, but, you know, I think the reputation is not quite as, a little bit more than it should be for what you get out of Walla Walla. Red Mountain, on the other hand, is producing some fantastic wines. This is the 2012 Terra Blanca Signature Series Merlot, Red Mountain, Washington. This rolls in at a hefty $40. And just to go back, just to be fair to Latah Creek, I don't think I did a close-up on those. So this is the Latah Creek label, just so you can see it. They've had the same label for a long time. Classic label out of Washington State. So just to backtrack a little bit, I wanted to show the label on that one. Now let's go to the Terra Blanca wine. $40. Let's go right there. This is very interesting. This has more of a meaty element on it. There's a lot going on. This is like one of those aromas where you know there's just like this huge amount of stuff underneath, and it's being buried a little bit, probably because it's a little bit youthful. But I'm getting like ripe red cherries, currants, and a real interesting meaty aroma coming through. And there's a little bit of red fruits coming through. I can't quite put my finger on it, but there's definitely red fruits coming through on the nose. Let's see what we get on the palate. You know, sometimes I hate it when you start low price, go to high price, and they gradually get better. Doesn't always happen, but is happening now. This is an incredible wine, 40 bucks. I mean, it has depth, it has power, it has structure, it has everything you're looking for. This baby is youthful. It will lay down easily 10 to 15 years. You could lay down the Latah Creek too, but this has just a little more depth to it than either one of those two wines do. I get that meatiness, that it's not like roasted meat, it's just cooked meat, blackberries, cherries, currants, little spice on the back end, not as spicy as these two, but there's spiciness, almost like a white pepper spice coming through. It's kind of hanging up on my lips. There's definitely some tobacco and chocolate tones coming through, especially in the mid palate going into the finish. It finishes almost mouth-watering. It has a good balance of acid, fruit, tannins. It's all there. It's all there. There's just a touch of green tobacco on the back of the finish, and right off the bat I realize there's a flavor profile there that a lot of times I like a lot in red wines, and that's licorice. I get a lot of like that natural black licorice, no, not the fakey stuff, you know, the black vine stuff, but more that natural licorice, like the Panda Bear licorice coming through right up front. And I'm just telling you, if you have any doubts about the quality of Merlot in Washington State, these three really highlight how well this varietal does in the state of Washington, and especially the Terra Blanca Signature Series Merlot just rocks it. I'm gonna have to go AA+ on that. I just have to. And you know me, I don't like to do that with the more expensive wines. If I can find some flaws, I will. There's not a lot of flaws in this wine, and it is very good. You keep watching, and I'll keep helping you spend your wine dollars wisely.